Let's Get Down to Business is presented by Bravo, the marketing arm of Ash Brokerage Corporation, the practice enhancement company. All this week, it's individual long-term care insurance. And on today's show, engaging long-term care discussions. And with me today is nationally recognized long-term care expert, Maria Sarchi. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to Backroom Technician. Let's get down to business. Well, Maria, welcome to day 5. Man, 5 days in a row. How you doing?
I'm doing
Surviving?
Great. I'm so glad we're having this conversation, Steve.
Well, I have to tell you, you're taking the mortality man into the morbidity area, which is very difficult. I mean, underwriting, oh, it's not the same. We're talking about the way things are priced. Oh, it's not the same. So I'm kind of getting an education. You're kind of bringing me up to speed on long-term care. I have to say, I'm blessed to have it. I've had it now for about 3-4 years now. I'm glad I did it. I had to overcome a lot of myths. A lot of them we've talked about. If you're coming into our show today, you need to go out and watch this in succession. I think you'll get a better tutorial by watching Monday's, Tuesday's show all in succession, so you can kind of get an idea of the attitude, and especially because many advisors are trying to break into the senior market. This could be your entree into the senior market. When we're talking about discussions, now we've been discussing all week long. Now I want to bring it up past the nuts and bolts, past the mechanics of underwriting, all these issues, and talk about it, the impact of coming into your community and being the long-term care gun in the senior market. I'm thinking about where I live. I'm one of the youngest ones in my neighborhood. Every day people are receiving their Social Security and their Medicare documents at 65 and 66 in my neighborhood, right? So I see everybody, they always go, Steve, what should I do now? What plan should I pick? Well, you know, we're already in the conversation. And most of us that are boomers now, listen, I hate to say it, but, you know, we're singing Paul McCartney's song, When I'm 64, You Are 64. So the discussion is now relevant. Yes. It's not, I can't imagine hearing that song back in the late 60s, and that we are now saying, yes, Steve, you're almost 64. Wow. So let's talk about the discussion. Long-term care, we've discussed it all week. Talk about the annual premium for coverage, because it's really less than the monthly expenses, really bottom line.
It is. And if there's one thing I hope all of our viewers have seen is that you and I have talked about, you don't have to have a plan that's going to cover every last dollar. Do what feels right. Do what's comfortable. Do what's within your budget, and provide yourself and your family, don't forget the family, with a portion of protection that feels right for all concerned. We talked about care planning, providing dignity and grace. We talked about the true benefits of what that kind of plan can mean. So you have to really pare back and think, well, is that $3,000 annual premium, $5,000 annual premium, is that what I'm willing to spend in order to purchase that dignity, that grace, that peace of mind that it means not only for me as a policyholder, but for my children and my children's children?
See, the way you talk about it, you are converting the semantics of normal advisors, because we're talking about costs, expense loads, our bills. You're saying, no, this is about your dignity. This is about your lifestyle. This is about you feeling comfortable in your golden years.
It is. The protection plan, that's the tool. Conceptually, the conversation that we have, it's much bigger than a tool. It is, in fact, your way of life. And what we try to do is just teach that there's a way to protect that. And so the insurance protection vehicle itself, well, that's the tool that gets us there.
I want to ask you, though, before, and I don't mean to retreat into my normal advisory thinking here and drop all the emotional issues, but what about these benefits? There's some tax issues here that could be beneficial for some of our consumers that are watching, and our advisors need to bring it up.
Sure. I mean, it's important to say that the benefit that is received from one of these long-term care plans, it's not income taxable. So we've been talking about $6,000 a month in benefit. That money is not income taxable when the client is receiving it.
He's not getting taxed on the benefit.
No.
What about any deductions, anything like that going on?
There certainly could be. There are certain tax credits given at the state level, and that varies. So again, going back to what you said about ensuring you speak with your tax professional, that's an important element of this. And if the individual is spending 7.5% of their adjusted gross income on medical expenses, even a portion of the long-term care premium could be deductible. But I want to be clear here, because if someone is healthy enough to qualify for this kind of insurance, chances are they're not spending 7.5% of their
Right,
AGI
right.
in medical bills. So that's a further down the road benefit, but one we should talk about.
Is there any other deductions or anything for individuals? I know when we get into a couple weeks from now, when you come back to do our corporate and our business and multi-life,
Yes.
I know there's a lot of great areas there.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting with my normal 1040, is there any place else I can go on this?
Not that
For
I know
individual.
of. Not that I know of. So we talk about the premiums being deductible. We talk about the benefit coming income tax free, and those are really the high general areas that I would feel comfortable staying in.
Okay, so if I have an AGI and I'm spending it down because I have other medical issues, the odds are I may not be able to be in an underwriting
Right.
mode
Correct.
to get it. Okay.
Correct.
When I'm looking at different age groups here, I'm looking at these different, per diem limitations. Okay, I hear this phrase battered around, and I'm kind of confused on why are they even bringing this whole issue up of, hey, there's certain per diem issues by age. Is it by age? I think.
Yeah,
it is?
this again refers back to the tax deductibility of those premiums. So at certain ages, you can deduct up to a certain portion, and so it's graded. They start at age 40, and it goes, I believe, all the way up to age
Yeah, it's over 70.
70,
I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
So for somebody who's 70 plus, if they're spending that kind of 7.5% of their adjusted gross income on medical bills, about $4,500 of their premium can be deducted.
Well, that's a big chunk of money. I mean, when I think about it, there's another leverage issue. We talked about
Yes.
HSA accounts yesterday. This is just another added issue. I think most advisors can wrap their head around the mechanics of deductibility, tax-free benefits,
Yeah.
HSA accounts, cash flow and budgets. But when it comes to the actual emotive issues of looking at you are trying to prepare your client to have a retirement that truly is golden
Yes.
for their golden years. And this is one of the number one issues now, especially when you think the number one risk to retirement right now is living so long. And I think we're going to need assisted living at the very least. When we come back from the break, we're going to discuss the talking points that you can use with your clients and prospects about long-term care and its impact during retirement. And don't forget, you can request your own long-term care manual from Backroom Technician right on our website at downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com, or just sign up for your own 30-day free trial at Backroom Technician at brtnow.com/trialsignup.aspx. We'll be right back right after the break.
Take a close look at your hard-earned dollar. How do you think your money's doing? Are you keeping an eye on it? Is it protected from taxes, inflation, and market risk? Over time, those Washingtons could become Franklins. With tax-advantaged indexed universal life, from one of the largest distributors of indexed universal life, Ash Brokerage.
Hello, welcome back. I'm Steve Savant with Maria Sarchi, and remember, you can watch all our episodes of Let's Get Down to Business, including my weekly consumer show, Steve Savant's Money. The name of the game, right at ashbrokerage.com. Just click on the show logo when you come to our homepage. It'll take you right out to our shows and all the archives of our shows. And just a heads up, before moving forward with any of the ideas you hear in our show, always consult your tax advisor or legal counsel as well as your broker-dealer compliance officer. Well, let's get down to business. We're discussing some of these talking points.
Yes.
And remember, and I'm going to say this as a defender of my gender, most of us advisors are very analytic in our approach. We are personable, yes, we have socialization skill sets and so forth, but we're all over the tax issues. We're all over the benefits. We're all over this. But we don't sometimes talk the way you talk because really, we really don't. We need to reconfigure the way we approach clients in our talking points because you are talking about feelings, emotions, lifestyle issues. How do I feel when I'm older? What kind of care do I want? I'm writing my future by writing this check. I mean, really.
It's true.
And I think we need to adopt this. So you say make it part of your practice. Okay, let's say people have been watching our show all week long. They're drinking your Kool-Aid. They believe what you're saying. What's their first step?
First step, when they sit down with a client, ask this one very basic question. Have you thought about care planning? I didn't say long-term. I said care planning, and I did that with great purpose. When you think about long-term care, oftentimes it's not the greatest images that are conjured up, right?
No.
What we want to do, the direction that I've seen the greatest success, is helping individuals understand that care planning is an empowering moment. Truly it is. You're making decisions today that will impact you and your family in future. So ask the question, what are you doing about care planning? More then likely the client's going to say to you, well, what do you mean? Well, have you ever known someone that's received care in their home, or have you ever provided care to a loved one? As I speak all around the country, and I ask that question in client workshop settings, in one-on-one client meetings, more times than not the response is, yes, I know someone, yes, I've provided care, yes, I'm concerned about it. So that very first question, have you thought about care planning, opens the door to a discussion that can be very beneficial, not only for the client, but for the advisor as well.
Okay, so I've learned your first contact question, your first contact engagement, okay?
Yep.
Now I'm like, wow, I'm kind of petrified of this whole scene. Now, remember, a lot of our advisors have been in asset allocation modeling. They've been more of the mortality, like myself. So they come to you and they say, I need an LED, quick, down and dirty, Cliff Note version of LTC.
Yes.
And of course, we're giving away our manual, so that's going to be helpful. But what would you say if you were going to go into a crash course? You're going to Maria's boot camp long-term care class. What are they going to need to know that first 30 minutes they're in? You're going to say, guys, this is where we're going.
Yeah, we have to ask some questions. We have to understand what the client's lifestyle is like. So have you thought about care planning? Client's response is yes. The next question for the advisor should be, well, tell me about what your vision is for the future. Where do you want to receive care someday? Critical question. We need to ask about
All right, what if
health.
I say? What if I say? I'll be the client. I don't mind role playing on my own show.
Please.
I don't want to go to a nursing home. I want assisted living. I'm prepared to do whatever I need to prep my house for geriatric living. So what do I do?
Well, Steve, I commend you for that, because the first thing that we want to do is ensure that we're looking at a comprehensive plan, because I understand where you don't want to go. I want to give you options to make sure you're protected no matter where you have to go. So we want to find out where you plan to receive care someday. Next thing we want to talk about is your health background. Tell me a little bit about yourself. That's a key question, Steve.
Except for the 20 megs of lisinopril for hypertension, I've been really a good boy.
That's great. That means that we can really look at the whole marketplace and know that any carrier that we look at is going to provide the best kind of option, because we know that you're insurable.
Okay, so I think my dream, let's say my family history is decent. Let's say I'm okay, my wife's okay, and I've chosen, like I think 90% of America will choose, hey, I'd rather do it at home, right? Let's just say that's true.
Sure.
All right, I've done that, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to modify my home from a construction point of view as well to accommodate my later years. I got all that down. Now, I want to know, as an advisor, I'm asking the right questions, I've taken your thing. I went through, I'm getting your boot camp, kind of getting a little idea how you're going to treat us at boot camp.
Yep.
When I walk out of one of your LED, your front-end boot camp training, how will I be armed? What will I have in my hand? Because I'm thinking, you know all the carriers.
Yes.
I don't want to see a grid. I'm
Yep.
going to give you my client's data, and you're going to tell me which
right.
carrier. Talk about that.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you talked about that grid, because gone are the days of just lining up 4, 5, 6 carriers to see who's got the least expensive premium, right?
That would be me.
Yeah, we absolutely want to take a look at the benefits. Okay, what are the key benefits? Sharing coverage might be important to some. Having a short elimination period, a very aggressive inflation option. When you leave the session with us at Ash Brokerage, you will be equipped with 1 or 2 solutions that we know through our conversation are best suited for that individual client. And we will go through a role play segment with you if you'd like to. Walk you through common questions where the client might get stuck on the illustration that they're looking at. We want to set you off for that client meeting fully prepared for the questions and the answers. And if for some reason you feel like you need a little bit of backup, we'll be there with you. We can come in by speakerphone, in person in some cases, and really help you make sure that client's going to get all the information they need for an informed decision.
I feel like I'm going through a corporate courtship class here. You sound more pastoral than you do advisory.
Well,
unbelievable. I think this is where it's at, though. I think we need to talk about the human condition in relationships more than the actual raw numbers. Well, that's our show for today and this week. Remember, you can watch all my online news commentary, advisor blogs, and articles on producersweb.com, as well as my answers to consumer questions on the Insurance Library. And don't forget, you can view all our past episodes right on our on-demand section at downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com. So, if you want to follow me, just catch me on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, or just email me, steve.savant@ashbrokerage.com. And remember, you could be wiser as an Ash Brokerage advisor. I'm Steve Savant.